Are you tired of wasting time on entertainment that doesn't bring you a sense of community? Do you feel like people are trying to force you to take a side in this silly culture war? Does your media have you feeling too conservative, too woke, too religious, too heathenous, not enough whatever, like a freak? That's because you're not a caricature. You're a real person. You're messy, and you don't fit into a box. Good news, we're freaks too.
Would you like to melt your stress away? Get connected to a community of other misfits? Maybe listen to the misfits? Stop feeling like a lonely outsider surrounded by people trying to enlist you in a war you want no part of. Become a contented member of a community that requires only that you live your best life and leave others to live theirs.
Feel a sense of belonging while opting out of the culture war. This is Peace Freqs. Welcome, everyone, to another fine episode of Peace Freqs. I am Nikki P. here, as always, with my lovely wife and co-host, Lizzie. How are we doing today, babe?
Fabulous. How are you?
I am doing well. For those who are new and haven't been paying attention, this is episode number 101 since we started numbering them again.
Yep.
We just crested that 100 episodes thing. Feel pretty proud of that. We did it.
Yeah. Gonna keep doing it.
Yeah, we are going to keep doing it. I like doing it. Doing it and doing it and doing it. Wow. Doing it and doing it and doing it. Wow.
See, I went bad rabbits with it, but I feel ya.
Wow. I represent the queen. She was raised out of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Doing it, doing it.
Yeah, that's where my brain
doing
went.
it for love. Oh, oh, oh.
Yeah.
What are some other doing it's we could put in there?
Yeah, no, I'm drawing a blank.
So one thing I noticed recently, Liz,
Yes.
is, you know the song, Oh, What a Night?
Yeah.
Frankie Valli is not the guy who sings the verses on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the drummer actually sings the verses on it,
Interesting.
which is really weird to me.
That makes sense, though, actually. Because whenever I, kind of listened to it, I always wondered why the verses sounded odd.
Oh,
Yeah.
got a funny feeling when she walks.
And that would make sense. Just a different guy singing.
Yeah, no, it was interesting. His band is an interesting looking band, by the way.
Yeah. Interesting looking band.
Yeah, honey, it was the 70s.
Okay, right on.
Maybe it was the late 80s. I don't remember. What I will say is, though, watch the video, particularly for Who Loves You or whatever it is there.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good video.
Ugh, I freaking love that song.
So, folks, it has been a weird world. It continues to get weirder and weirder. We did finally have Stefan Molyneux, Mr. I'm not saying that, this country sucks because there's black people here, but, I'm in Poland and there's no black people, so,
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, he was kicked off YouTube and a bunch of other shit.
Which stinks. And I say that because I believe in free speech. Not because I believe in any of the stuff he wants to talk about, probably, but...
He's a conundrum for me because he was apparently at one time one of the biggest advocates of peaceful parenting that there ever was.
Yeah, and I've actually read some of that stuff, and some good stuff in there.
And I've heard that he has some good ANCAP stuff from back in the day. He posted something recently on, I think, Parler. Which, if you're not on Parler, go there. I have a lot more fun on Parler, and Liz is on Parler, so it's totally worth it.
I am, because, it probably is still about being petty like Twitter, but I figured I'd give it a shot, because why not?
I haven't gotten embroiled in any of that.
No?
I've just had nothing but positive relationships. I've met a musician girl on there who's into Austrian economics.
Nice.
I believe Rebecca Day music. I'm not a huge fan of country music, but she does it legit. Like a lot of times when I hear musicians involved in the movement and stuff, and then I listen to them and the music sucks. That was not the case.
Oh, nice. Well, don't mind me while I go add her to my feed.
Yeah, you totally should. She also posts cool stuff. She actually tipped me off to this cool book put out by some Austrian economics group specifically on the green market revolution is what I think it was called.
Huh, okay.
Specifically at, the stuff I'm into, how we're going to, through innovation and technology, help make the, private property rights is going to save the environment, not government.
I've been coming at that in another direction, like the whole regenerative agriculture thing, and just dude, if you could actually do people affecting the earth right, you could make things so much better.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No shit.
No, it's gonna have to be people taking personal responsibility. The government is clearly not in that game. of saving the earth. Not really.
It can't. And when I was reading, I think in this week's episode, we were talking about how like all the world governments are putting all of their resources towards the coronavirus thing.
Yeah.
And in so doing, have like spent no money on any of the conservation efforts that they're supposed to be doing. And so, even when you rely on them to do something, they just don't do it or they do it poorly.
Yeah.
But as we were saying, like that's us over on Parler. Cool stuff's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to get into like the real thick of it with us, I recommend jumping in our Discord group.
Oh, sure.
At least while we still have one, because as with all the social media, it's coming and going.
Yeah.
Or you could like just ask to be added to the mailing list.
Yeah. Oh, and there's always Goodreads. My Goodreads list is like crazy right now because like I went down the regenerative agriculture and then the traditional food and a couple of other rabbit holes. So, if you're a book person.
So, folks, you're not going to notice this when you listen because I'm going to fix it. But Liz refuses to talk into her mic. She wants to shake.
My lips are literally on the mic right now. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Except for when you're shaking your fucking head.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry. I'm gesticulating.
Stop shaking your head, Liz. We're talking into microphones.
I'm being expressive. I'm attempting to be expressive.
I know. You married an Italian. We don't move our mouths. We move our hands.
Okay. I'll try and put all my energy into my hands in proper Italian form.
Because the microphone is in your face.
Because the microphone is in my face. Yeah.
So keep the microphone positioned.
I'm doing a lot of gardening lately also. So yeah, if you do get on Parler, I have not come across a ton of gardening people up there. So we can create that from like the ground up.
We should start doing that. I put it this way: I've definitely got a lot of people interested in the environmentalism stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
If you want a really good community, actually, Pangy's Discord group is great too.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of really knowledgeable people. I don't know why I'm tired.
Me too.
There's a lot of really knowledgeable people in there and people who are literally like doing the homesteading thing like right now. In real time.
Like Ben, the guy that runs
as we speak.
Homesteading podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's homesteads and homeschools, folks. Check it out if you haven't already.
How is your garden doing, Liz?
It's growing. It's really taken off. It's interesting because, I'm learning as I go about pruning things for better fruitfulness and stuff like that. So, and we've been adding different amendments and we expanded the beds because I basically just started with, okay, what can we afford like soil wise and throw it out there and like get something growing. And now we've expanded and we're just making it better. So it's exciting. It's rewarding. I'm enjoying it.
I see things growing.
Yes.
Nothing's fruiting yet, but I see things growing, which is definitely a big deal for me.
I mean, we got a couple radishes. Irma ate all the flipping blueberries and I'm sure as soon as that strawberry happens, she's going to eat that too. So
that one strawberry.
There's a couple more coming behind it, but yeah.
I guess.
I mean, it is what it is. We'll see how much pest pressure we end up with once we have things actually fruiting. I'm curious.
Okay.
And then there's always the mystery of the potatoes.
Oh my God, I want to know. I want there to be so many potatoes in there.
What are they doing under there?
If anyone's never grown potatoes, this has been a weird thing because I could just keep spitting up green. Just green.
Yeah, and then you bury it because you're supposed to, apparently, and then there's more, and you're okay, sure, that's supposed to happen, I guess.
Yeah, apparently we just need to bury more green. I don't know. Apparently there's supposed to be potatoes growing in there. That's what we're told.
But I digress.
We do digress. We just jumped into, hey, everyone, come hang out with us, all these places.
Yeah.
What are they doing here right now?
Right now, you are about to get a fabulous interview with another fellow from across the pond.
This one's one of those Brits, though, right?
Yeah. No, he's pretty cool dude. It was a really fun interview and just I don't
don't know. His Twitter feed, is it the Twitter that's particularly entertaining? I think it's the Twitter. But just in general, he posts fun stuff. So it was really super cool to talk to him in person and actually as witty in person.
Yeah, he was a hell of a nice guy too.
Yeah, very much so.
I like anytime I can say that about a guest. Not every guest I can say that about. And if you want more information, you'll have to talk to me outside of the show.
He doesn't talk and tell.
But yeah, I guess after this song here, right now, we're gonna get on with our conversation with Gareth Icke.
Oh yeah.
I'm standing in an ocean of emotion, waiting for the tide to pull me under, baby.
But it's been one of those days today, so I'm just running around like a bit of a maniac. So,
Right on.
oh, right.
Those are the best days, right?
Well, they go quick. The only problem is because I've got so much to do, I don't want it to go quick.
Right.
So it's one of them, really.
Well, apparently you're involved in like 10 million things.
Yeah, master of none of them.
I tend to find
go.
that's how us musicians are. We're professional dabblers, most of us.
Yeah, oh God, absolutely, yeah. Last of the small town blaggers. That's what I see myself as.
Liz, keep yourself under control. I know he's got a cool accent, so
He does have a cool accent. He has a different cool accent.
He does
in
have a different cool
which
accent.
is even cooler.
we've been talking to all those Scottish people with their accents, and
Right.
he has a different accent.
Yeah, I don't know where my voice comes from, if I'm honest. It's a bit of a sort of a mongrel voice. And when I toured with Jono before, we were gigging down the south in England. There was me, Jono, and a guy called Alan Frew, and he's got like a strong Scottish accent.
That name sounds familiar. Does he have like a...
He's a pal of Jono's, but he's excellent. He's really good. He plays classical guitar.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
That's interesting. I don't know why I would know that name. I have no reason to know that name. I'm not exactly a connoisseur of UK bands and stuff, so
No, he gets out and about though, to be fair, and he's done stuff in the States and that. So,
it's possible.
but yeah, we toured together, and one of the guys, a guy that I know that runs a venue, he said on the mic, he said, "Oh, people keep coming up to me and saying I can't understand what the guy's saying," and I was like, "Well, they are Scottish," and he was like, "No, they're referring to you."
Oh.
And yeah, and that was in England, so I don't know where my voice is from, really.
Well, I listened specifically to the album or EP that Jono put together, and I didn't think I had any issues following what you were saying. So I don't know about all that.
Oh, that's a relief then. I'm trying to get more well spoken in my old age, so you can actually understand me. I actually pronounce words properly, or at least try to. When I was younger, I used to think I was a bit. We call them a mockney, so you're not really Cockney, but you sort of speak like you are.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's an interesting fucking word. That sounds incredibly offensive too. So I like that.
Well, yeah, probably is to someone, I'm sure.
I'm always excited about people willing to, I guess, be offensive, which is hilarious. I don't know. Do you not send people who run venues to your Facebook page? I mentioned it on the when I messaged you the first time. Like I kind of added you as a friend. I'm always a little bit leery because we have a pedigree as an anarcho-capitalist music program here, and we get into politics and things like that. And I'm always leery about someone like I don't know. Like, oh my God, am I going to bring them on here? Are they going to be like a horrible communist? And like, I'm going to get into a whole bunch of awful political debates. So I took a couple days to kind of sit and like, let's see what this guy posts on Facebook. And I'm like, oh, okay. No, this dude's totally cool.
Yeah, it's weird because people say to me, "Oh, you've got more political and you're like as you got older." But it's weird because I'm actually probably the opposite. Like I have less confidence in politics. Like I don't believe in politics and I don't believe in political parties. And I find it quite funny because I've got a lot of friends that are very intelligent and are very sort of conscientious about the world and things, but they're very tribal when it comes to politics. And I don't get it. So for me, like in England, if Boris Johnson says something I agree with, granted it's rare, but if he does, I'll say, well, yeah, that's yeah, I agree with him there. And then if Jeremy Corbyn said something, I'd go, yeah, I agree with that. And but most people won't. You know, it's like if Hitler said it was a sunny day, you'd look outside and see the sun and go, no, it's raining. So well, no, it's not really.
Oh, we had the leader of the Libertarian Party over here who actually said, you know, if Hitler ran on the Libertarian Party ticket, then you should vote for Hitler, and pissed off a lot of libertarians. Like, are you fucking kidding me? That's insane.
Yeah.
You don't ever vote for Hitler. Like, I don't care if you don't care.
Well, exactly. Yeah. But that what they're saying is just a bit of an exaggeration of how people really are, though. They are quite tribal, I find.
Well, that's exactly it. And part of the reason a lot of people would be drawn to the Libertarian Party is because it's not tribal. The whole idea is to get away from the tribal bullshit of the D's and the R's over here. And so for him to just go out and say, nope, we're a tribe too, we're just a different tribe. It's like, well, dude, fuck you. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that doesn't fix anything. Yeah, I'm the same. I feel homeless politically, absolutely homeless.
I know. For me, like you look like you have a kid who's a little bit younger than my daughter. But I know when I had a kid, the whole politics thing kind of took more of a front and center for me because I guess like maybe I feel like, well, what the fuck kind of world am I leaving her? And what am I going to let these ridiculous idiots out here that are actually voting do about that? And unfortunately, I feel like it's only gotten worse. But you can only preach so much.
Yeah, I try and stay positive personally. So I agree with you, it's getting worse. But for me, I look at it and go, but if it gets worse, more people see it. Mm-hmm. And then go, oh, hang on, this isn't right. And so there's less people, I think, there's still a fair few, but there's less with heads buried in the sand at the moment, I think, because it's so in your face.
I think that whatever they just tried to pull with the disease and the ensuing riots over here, I don't know if they overplayed their hand or something, because it definitely has seemed to do something to people. And I don't know if it's been for the better or for the worse. And I have a feeling it's going to end up being for the worse over here with like a lot more policing and stuff. But I'm actually kind of more interested in the reason I bring it up is because I'm always fascinated with musicians that aren't hardcore leftists,
right?
And are openly not hardcore leftists, because I mean, over here, I would never in a million years, like, I post very, very little politically on my Facebook page just because I don't want to lose gigs. Like, if I were outed as being anything that's not just a straight up communist, I'm pretty sure I would never be booked again, because just musicians would never let it happen. So it just fascinates me. Like, even Jono, like, you know, he's fairly open politically, and it's like, man, I would never tell anybody else you're okay with saying.
No, Jono's very bright though, isn't he, as well? He's very bright, and he's very articulate in the way that he speaks. I think that helps as well.
I have no idea why he wanted to be on my show at all. Like,
I've got no idea why he wants to be friends with me. There you go. Yeah.
Like I know Jono because I'm friends with his brother and stuff, and apparently he heard I had his brother come on to my environmentalism podcast and talk, and apparently he just really liked that show and said, "Oh, I want to talk to that guy too."
Oh, there you go.
And I'm like, I don't know why. I mean, maybe when I'm on that show, I do probably sound smarter than I actually am because I edit it really well. But, you know,
you come across as a nice guy. I think that's part of it. I think you're going to tear me to shreds in the next hour. Now I've said that, but
no, not at all, not at all.
But I think it's nice talking to nice people. So yeah, that's probably part of it.
I personally, especially like talking to ones with accents. I always used to like to hang out with the international kids when I was in college and stuff, just because as big a country as America is, it's sometimes stifling. Because I mean, everybody watches all the same shit on TV, and like just. The culture itself is so... it doesn't matter if I'm here, if I'm in LA, like, people are kind of the same no matter where you go, and it's a little... like, somebody's got to have something resembling a different perspective somewhere. And it's...
Yeah, it seems quite insular as a country, in terms of you don't... having spent quite a bit of time there over the years, when you watch the news, there's very few stories outside the States. It's very kind of, this is what's happening.
Well...
Yeah.
Well, and there's a thing that I don't know. It has to be different over like just even in Europe, where like I can drive for 8 hours in one direction, like in the state that I grew up in, and I'm still in the same state. I can't even get to.
That is crazy.
I can't even get to the next state in some ways. So like it is just a massive body of space. And granted, you go places and people are kind of different everywhere, but I mean they're still American, and they still have all that like programming that they get from MTV and shit. Like, used to be MTV when we were kids. I suppose it's probably something different now. I don't know. I'm an old fuck. I don't know what they listen to and watch these days. So
no, neither do I. No clue.
So out of curiosity, like, what kind of music were you into that you kind of did what you did? You're fascinating that I don't know many musicians that were into fitness and stuff. So,
Well, I was a footballer first, as in a soccer player
Yeah.
Okay.
first,
I got you.
and that was what I did. So I always had a bit of a background in that, and then just to be honest, I just wanted to be Kurt Cobain. I had like long blonde hair down to my
Okay.
shoulders,
Okay.
and then I kind of followed in all the bands that came after them, because he died when I was like 12. So all the bands that followed, so obviously your Foo Fighters and your Bush and people like that, and then kind of got into the heavier stuff, went a bit rebellious with the Deftones and stuff like that, and then now I just listen to quite chilled out acoustic music. I'm a bit kind of, there's a band I don't know if you've heard of them, a Scottish band, they're called Idlewild, and they are basically, if I could describe a band that summed my music taste up, it's them. Like when I first went to see him, I was 16, and he was literally screaming into his microphone and jumping off stage and just going mad, and I was there going mad, yeah, hate everyone. And then he now lives on an island, which has got about 50 people live on it, called Iona, and he writes like chilled Celtic beautiful music. And
Nice.
and he's kind of the process he went through in between, where less aggressive, more melodic, or whatever. It's just I've just been basically going to buying every record and going to a gig on every tour ever since then. So I've kind of changed with him. He's like my spirit animal.
That's awesome.
See, it's funny, Liz, because he's all talking about Kurt Cobain and like, I'd rather be Damon Albarn personally, but whatever.
Oh no, I was into Blur. Yeah, I quite liked Blur back in the day. Yeah.
What sucks about Blur is that like over here, like they're literally known for song 2 and that's it. And it's like, to me, the most mediocre thing in their entire catalog. Like he had so much good material with that band. Even the Gorillaz have some good stuff, but I honestly think even that compares to any of his like stuff with Blur back in the day. Park Life's so fucking good.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You find that though, don't you? People have like one hit and you're like, oh, come on, there's so much more than that.
Well, and like I said, and especially like when you're talking about bands from different countries, honestly, a lot of my favorite bands are just from different places. I really love the band Goldfish out of South Africa, and it's a 2-man DJ group, but they play like live instruments and stuff in their DJ sets. Like the one guy like has an upright bass that he plays. The other guy is like a saxophone player and shit. So they're doing like this very 1940s jazz infused like EDM shit, and it's pretty wild.
I've not heard them. I'll have to add that to the list of bands to listen.
Well, and it's hilarious. I found the band because they had one of their songs was used in a Kia Soul commercial back in the day. I don't know if you ever remember when they used to have the commercials with the hamsters in the cars, and it was just one.
I don't remember them here. It sounds like a cool advert though.
Yeah, well, commercials are different across the pond too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Like, but it's an old commercial of like just the hamsters driving their cars. They were a song playing in the background. I'm like, I really fucking dig that. Went and looked them up, and I've never been disappointed with an album they've put out. My daughter loves them because they're all of their videos are animated, and they have this little goldfish character that goes on adventures in the videos.
Oh, quality.
So I got her excited about it.
I love stuff that's different. I'm probably the same as you on that. If it stands out and it's different, then it's worth listening to.
Well, and luckily the internet has been awesome for guys like us. I got to go and listen to your album, and there's no way in hell I would have ever heard here in the States, other than someone said, hey, listen to this guy. And I'm like, oh, cool. And I really did like what I heard. I like your album cover too. The actual heart with the bricks and stuff.
Oh, the red brick heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was neat.
Cool. I made that actually. That was me. I'm sort of, like I said earlier, a jack of all. I sort of blag a bit with graphic design as well. So that was one of mine.
Very cool.
Things. Yeah. But it was actually a song. The Red Brick Heart song was actually a song that there's 2 songs on that record, actually, that and Little French Cars, that were a part of an Arts Council project here. So we got funding. A friend of mine got funding through the Arts Council and took 6 artists. There was 2 rappers, myself and another acoustic artist, a girl who was an acoustic artist, a spoken word artist, and then a guy who's basically punk, but like old school punk, but he was just playing an acoustic, so it was like an acoustic punk type thing, which was really cool. And we went to little villages around Derbyshire, mainly sort of mining towns and stuff. Basically, Derbyshire in the Industrial Revolution was the epicenter of everything, and now it's...
Gotcha.
Obviously, because none of that goes on anymore. So
okay, so kind of like our Rust Belt.
Yeah, kind of like Detroit, I guess, in that sense. Basically.
Oh, so it looks like Iraq.
It's basically in a way that if you're worrying, like for the kids, for instance, if you're trying to feed your family, your kid's not getting cello lessons. It's kind of a bit like that, really. So
Gotcha.
we were going to these different towns and villages and writing songs with them and whatever. But this one particular project, arrived in a town or village around about midday, had a beer, chatted to some locals, and then by 7 p.m. you had to perform the song that you'd written about them, basically.
Oh, it's like what I used to do in college, Liz. Like where I just hang out in front of my dorm and watch people walk and like see what they did and then write songs about them.
It's good fun. But it's killer pressure. Like by the end, there was three of us by the end.
Oh, wow.
There was myself, the spoken word artist, and the punk, basically, and everyone else had gone, but I can't, it wasn't for them. Really.
Wow.
Yeah, because a lot of pressure, because you have to obviously perform it to them, and they're all sat there, and they're waiting for the bit where you're talking about what they told you about, whatever, and it is quite pressurizing, but I loved it.
And so all those really good inappropriate jokes that you'd worked into the song, you have to let them hear, and
Yeah, so I tried to go a little bit more for the industry side of it, so I focused quite a lot on that. So Red Brick Heart, it's written about a town about 2 miles from me called Belper, and in the middle of it is literally this giant mill. I mean, it's huge.
Yeah.
It's probably about 10 stories. It's massive, and it's totally derelict now, whatever. But it's just red brick, and it is the heart of the place. And basically, Belper's only there because that was there, sort of thing.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I immediately got what you meant by Red Brick Heart when you just tell me it's a town and then there's a mill in the middle of it. Like, oh,
yeah,
wow, that's I get that. Like that makes sense. You wouldn't even have to know what you were saying in the song to kind of understand like the imagery there.
Yeah, so I went with that sort of attitude. But then like Gez, who's the punk lad, like he wrote a song in Ripley and was singing about how the landlord of the pub was so fat that he basically hadn't seen his knob for years.
Okay.
So there's we all went with like different attitudes, but they all work. Like there was laughter and stuff. So that's what it's all about.
Right on.
That is awesome. Is there a lot of opportunities like that over there?
Not now. There's not. There's no opportunity to do anything anymore.
No, nobody's leaving their house, right?
Oh, it's mad. It's mad. Apart from to clap at 8 p.m. It's just bizarre.
Right.
But we are a strange breed. It was funny because I didn't even know that clapping thing was a thing. And then there was this noise and my little one wanted to go outside. So we live in a terraced house. So we stepped out the front and everyone's clapping. I'm obviously looking really confused with the frick. And my daughter was like just looking like, they were clapping for her, which was just dead funny. But then my wife was like, oh, did you not hear we have to go out at 8 and clap? I was like, right, well, this is the last time I'm stepping out. Because if someone tells me I've got to go out and clap, I'm not going out and clapping. It's not how it works. I'll go out if I want, not when someone tells me to, sort of thing. But yeah, I've done about 5 or 6 arts council projects, and they're great fun. I love them.
It's interesting.
But it's kind of, I don't know what the deal is with that now because I don't think there's going to be a lot of funding for anything really.
Hey man, they just print the money, right? That's how it works.
Yeah.
And they just printed trillions of dollars over here. I just assume just leave the printing presses on.
Just keep telling myself I can't feel the morning's wait. I can't feel the morning's wait. I can't feel the morning's wait. I'm fine. 3 a.m. I'll light another cigarette. All the while dreading 8 a.m. You gotta give to get. Learn to live without regret. Still I hate how my life owns me.
Hey everyone, Jake here, host of the Tasting Anarchy podcast. Join my co-host Mason and I each week as we explore the world of wine and alcohol through a Liberty lens. You can find us on all your major podcatchers, tastinganarchy.com, or Tasting Anarchy on Twitter. Tasting Anarchy, your wine and liberty podcast. Find out how much government is in your drink.
Well, that's the craziness of the whole furlough thing here, because I always wondered, like, why are people not protesting about lockdown? Like, everyone's losing their jobs, like, it's crazy. Why are they not protesting? And and I knew it wasn't fear of a virus or anything like that, because these people were going out 2-3 times a day and they were meeting up with family on the quiet. So I knew they weren't frightened of it. It's like what they're doing. And it turns out basically they're on 80% of their wages and they're sat home playing video games. They don't have to go to work.
Well, over here it's even worse. Like over here, some of the people are making double what they used to make because they did the federal government did like an extra $600 a week on top of what you make on unemployment. And so we have a situation where places are trying to open and they can't get their employees to come back because they make way more money sitting on their asses doing nothing than there's places that women that are, there was a woman notoriously who said, I mean, my job is going to have to offer me me at least $15 an hour because that's what the fuck I'm making unemployed right now. Like, I'm not going to go back and work for anyone that's not going to pay me that.
I get it, but it's dead short-sighted, isn't it?
Yeah.
As a way of seeing it, it's crazy because
As an Austrian economist, I don't really get it because I know what comes after all this, and it's not going to be good.
yeah, well, exactly, yeah. No, you've got to pay it all back plus interest. And if your business that you work for doesn't open, then when they stop paying your money, you won't have a business to go back to because it would have gone bankrupt. So yeah, it seems a bit kind of short-sighted, really.
Now, what's interesting is me and Liz both have been considered essential workers through all this. So it's odd in the ways that our lives haven't changed a whole hell of a lot. Like, we homeschool our daughter, so she was home the same as she ever was. Me and Liz, technically Liz has been working more than she ever worked because she works for UPS and everyone's getting their shit delivered.
Right.
So she's working 6 days a week. I in December, I'd actually drop down to part-time at my day job so that I could pursue music more. Well, when all this happened, all my gigs went away because it's not a thing that we do anymore in the States is have live music. So
same here.
luckily my day job found work for me, and they didn't bring me back quite up to full time, but they've been handing me extra days when extra days were to be had. So that's been awesome. But so for us, it never really changed much. Now things are it's weird. As the riots and stuff break out, it's clear that everyone's just, no, we're done with this. And I think that the riots are really more an extension of that than the actual race stuff, because you go out during the day and it's starting to look more normal. It looks like it's getting to be June out there. So it's interesting in that regard. But I personally know that you can't put an economy on hold for as long as we did and expect everything to be hunky dory. I just have it in my head that I'm imagining some really bad shit happening in September. It's just what I see coming down the pipe, especially because for us, it's an election year over here. And I don't know how those are over in the UK, but those tend to get wild in the States.
Yeah, not in your league, but, but no, they tend to be quite unpleasant, really. And so they're not the nicest time, really. Everyone's on each other's cases. Everyone's lying, and it's sort of deciding which one lied the best. But in terms of September, I think they're going to try and push a second wave of this nonsense anyway. And I'm sure they'll probably want us locked down again by winter.
Well, I'm already seeing the articles over here that we already had the second wave. They're now saying that the second wave may have been what we actually noticed over here, and it was worse. That's why we're getting hospitalizations, because apparently they're already saying that China's kind of already died down again. So I who the hell knows what to expect? And there's so much of that. The World Health Organization just blatantly lied to everyone's face about the masks thing because we had a political thing we wanted to make sure it didn't happen. I had a guy ask a question the other day because I was sourcing questions for our Free Market Screen Earth podcast, and he just asked, when will people take science seriously again? And I'm like, well, here's the rundown of everything that they lie about or that's politicized scientifically. So how can anyone take any science seriously because it's so mired in bullshit? The World Health Organization blatantly lied to everybody's face and said, masks are bad because they didn't want us using them so that the first responders had their pick of them. Well, then if you're going to blatantly lie and be open about it, how can we trust anything else that you have to say? It's just frustrating.
Yeah. Personally, I'll take science seriously when it can't be bought. As long as you can buy scientists, then it makes a mockery of it anyway, because the whole point of them is that they can't be. The facts are the facts, and that's that. And if I'm Bill Gates and I give you 40 million quid, you can't change the facts because a fact is a fact. But that's not the case. So
but the thing is all too often, and this is one of the things we got. You and me generally don't read scientific journals. No American is reading scientific journals. We rely on some reporter to tell us what those fucking things say in most cases. And so it doesn't really matter what the science is, because you're going to have a third party that's definitely politically motivated trying to tell you what it means. Because like I said, we're not experts in all of the sciences out there. I'm a little curious, and this will be obligatory. I'll get it out of the way. You are related to a very notable person with some odd opinions, we'll just say. I'm curious how that's kind of factored into, the music thing and just growing up in general.
it's a weird one growing up because people always say like, what was it like to grow up? And I go, well, I don't have anything to compare it to.
Yeah, his dad,
True.
right?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that just was it. So to me, it was normal, and family was
Yeah.
great, and we had a good crack, and everything was fun. And then it got kind of a bit unpleasant in the 90s, but not like home life wasn't unpleasant. It was
Yeah.
outside reaction to stuff that was unpleasant. But then all that, people always say like, I don't care what people think, and then you sort of cut down the veneer a little bit and you go, you definitely care what people think. But I think I probably have a handful of people that I actually really care what they think.
Yeah.
And I don't think I don't think I'd be like that if I hadn't had all that stuff. So like, I'll speak my truth, and if 90 people think I'm an arsehole and 10 people think it's great, then that's kind of irrelevant to me because it's my truth, and that's what I'm going to say anyway.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'd probably be that kind of.
Well, I mean, and you have one hell of a role model as far as someone who's willing to stand up and say shit that's wildly against the grain. So that's got to be pretty neat in and of itself. Like, I'm a little jealous of that.
Well, yeah, it's not boring. That's for sure. Not boring. But yeah, I think if you feel something to be right and you've looked at it and you've researched it, and the kind of it, you think if I say this, I'm going to get quite a bit of comeback. Really, I think most people will probably just go, well, I'll put that on the back burner and I'll just carry on with my day job. But I think once you know something and feel something, you kind of just
Yeah.
it's almost your duty to yourself, really, to just go, well, I'm going to say it and let the chips fall where they may, really.
Well, one of the things that I've been kind of grappling with over the past, it's become very clear to me, and like, because I'll talk to people that they refuse to believe things that are like completely 100% like unequivocally true. Like, you can go through and just read what people have said about themselves historically. Like, no, this is the case. Like, there are people that will argue with me about Bill Gates that, well, depopulation is a big one of his things. Like, he wants less people on the earth. Like, that's not true. And I'm like, he said it himself in a fucking TED Talk. Like, how buried in the sand can your fucking head be? Like, he said it himself on videos that you can go and watch, and you're still going to try and pretend that it's not the reality. And it's a little frustrating that like just people they just don't want to believe things.
No, I think people are frightened of believing things, though. I think that's a lot of it as well, because the one I get a lot with Bill Gates is that he gives away this money. No, he doesn't. He's actually the Bill and Melinda.
It's all invested in companies.
Yeah, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is for profit, and he openly talked recently, and again, like you said, like you can go and watch it. It's there, where he's saying that he's getting a 20 times comeback on his investment on vaccines. Well, he's not giving away money to save lives then. He's getting 20 times back in profit. So, at least be honest about who he is.
It's like those governments that he sends all that money to, well, they pay him back when they buy the vaccines that he makes that may or may not, completely destroy their people. But whatever, that's neither here nor there. We don't have to get into the history of it.
No.
But the other thing I think some people get, when they get into like the conspiratorial stuff, they go super far off the deep end and they'll come up with like wild things. And I don't even think most of the time you need to. I think that like human motivations will often kind of just, you can sit there and look at someone and go, I understand, even if they're not an evil person, why they would do these things. Like, to me, I don't necessarily believe Bill Gates has to be evil. I think Bill Gates as a true believer is almost more dangerous than Bill Gates being an evil guy pulling all these puppet strings. Like, someone who genuinely believes that the world needs depopulated, why is that any less frightening than someone who is nefariously believes that? Because at the end result, it's the same thing. You don't have to jump to all kinds of wild conclusions to realize it's not an ideal situation for one of the richest men on the planet to want less people.
No, exactly. And it's the thing that with conspiracy theories, I mean, that term is bizarre anyway, because it's a CIA created term anyway.
Yeah.
But the fact that people, if someone, that sounds like a conspiracy theory, and you go, right, okay, well, if you sat through any history class anywhere, you would just have a long list of people that conspired with someone else, or conspired to do this or conspired to that, whether, Hitler was conspiring and you believe in Hitler. So there was probably people in Germany in the mid 30s or the early 30s going, hang on, this guy's up. I don't trust what this guy's doing, and people going, what tinfoil hat, and he's He's a dodgy bastard.
I mean, Project Paperclip is it's all conspiracy until you realize, oh wait, we did hire a shit ton of Nazi scientists here in the U.S. and put them all in NASA. So
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, and that's like the most difficult thing about it is like how much of everything's true. I think they did what they wanted to because it's a tainting the well scenario. Like they're trying to like make it like that's why you have like limited hangouts and things like that, where they'll let out some of the information, but they'll let out bad information with it, so that like you never know quite what's true. You can be 90% there, that kind of thing. So you posted today that you're going to be taking a bunch of walks and documenting it. I'm curious what that's about. You don't have to get too much into it. I just happened to see it right before we got on, and it sounded like fun.
Well, basically, I work. That's where I am now in the office. I work for a channel called Iconic, which is like an alternative media channel.
Okay.
And so it's lots of documentaries, films, podcasts, series, it's everything basically. But what you tend to find with a lot of alternative channels, and we're really conscious of, because we've only been going since November.
Oh wow.
We're really conscious of not doing this. Is that it can be really negative. Do you know what I mean? It's just everything's negative because you're pointing out flaws and faults and problems, and like in the end, if you don't give solutions or any sort of light-hearted, like you guys, we're talking about political stuff, but you're having a laugh. You're talking about music, dark and light. It's yin and yang, and we need that in our lives, I think. Otherwise, in the end, you just go,
oh, I like people to be people.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But there's lots of documentary series where basically, I love walking, to be honest, mate. Like I could go walk 30 miles in the country. I absolutely love it. And where I live in Derbyshire, we're right on the edge of the Peak District, which is just beautiful, stunning. So there's a guy here. His name's Tony Robinson. He's an actor. Well, he was an actor. He's a big Blairite. So I'm not a fan of him politically, but he did a show called Walking Through History.
Yeah.
And he goes on these big long walks. It's beautifully filmed, like lots of drone footage of these beautiful valleys and stuff.
Is that one of those things that we watch, Liz?
Yes, I love that show. I'm obsessed.
Oh, so you know it.
You
Brilliant.
have seen it because I have been watching it.
Yeah, he's the guy that just goes on the nature hikes and talks to the people in the old towns, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, but when he talks history, the history is always like the textbook learnt history that we all learnt in school. And so this is definitely what happened. And obviously, history is always written by the winner and all that sort of stuff. So it's not necessarily true. A lot of it's theory. Anyway.
The 3x5 card of allowable opinion, as Tom Woods would say, folks.
There you go. So I thought, do you know what? Let's do the same thing, but we'll call it Walking Through an Alternative History. And we'll talk to people at Stonehenge that, say, for instance, who think that they were put there by aliens. Let's talk to them. Let's talk about their research, what they think that. And obviously you can go away from that going, well, that guy's mental. Or you can go away from it going, well, that's interesting. I'm going to have a look at that. And so it's just slightly different. And that's the plan. And I had it all in the can, basically, in terms of filming dates, people to come and talk to, historians, researchers, authors. And it was supposed to be filmed. Well, it would have been filmed and finished by now if it wasn't for all this nonsense.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm basically having to start again in terms of getting the researchers, because some of them I've gone back to. They're like, oh, I'm booked up now because of everything that's happened. It's just like, oh man, I need to find someone else to talk to. So
yeah,
I'm hoping I can get other people. Otherwise, it's just me for an hour walking, chatting to camera, and I'm not sure anyone needs to see that.
See, in my head, I'm imagining this being incredibly subversive, and it's just you with a bunch of ravers out there, glow sticks, walking through the countryside.
You don't know in Derbyshire, mate. You never know what you're going to walk into. Could well walk into an illegal rave. I'll be fine with that.
Yeah.
I have some friends that used to do the whole rave thing. I think I'm just a little too young to have been involved in the rave scene, and I'm a little jealous of people that were old enough to kind of have come up through that. I'm told that it still kind of exists, but it just seems like I'm too old. I wouldn't know where to go to find that kind of thing. And then if I did, like, what am I going to be around? A bunch of 19, 20-year-old kids? I didn't have time for 19 and 20-year-old kids when I was a 19 and 20-year-old kid. I had ambitions and stuff.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think, though, that for me, if I go out drinking now, well, not now, I can't, there's no pubs, but when I did, I get the idea of going out till like 2, 3 in the morning and then stumbling home with a kebab. In the old days, it was like, it's going to be wicked. Whereas now, I'm like, it gets to 10 o'clock and I'm like, just nudging my wife, like, go back, pop a film on. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. And it seems like a much nicer option.
Yeah.
See, I saw the wink there. He meant Netflix and chill, folks. It's okay.
Well, no,
We're all
I'm just
adults here.
saying, still more appealing than like hanging out with a bunch of like people who are going to be being idiots and being drunk idiots. I get it.
Oh, exactly. I did actually mean film, though. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's how it always starts.
I wasn't even trying to be dirty. I was just actually, let's just watch a film.
That's all right. That's the way Nikki always goes with things.
Yeah, I am unabashedly crude, and I'm completely okay with it. Fuck people. Turn into it.
I've got a 2-year-old. There's none of that anymore. That's
I
done.
remember. I have a 6-year-old, and I'm sad to say it. That doesn't get much easier.
Oh, good. Oh, I look forward to that then.
Yeah, there you go.
We're in an odd situation where we just don't have a lot of family around. Like I said, the United States is huge, and so like all of my family lives 4 or 5 hours away. Your family just doesn't really have the means to take care of her, so it's like we don't spend a lot of time away from our daughter. Let's put it that way.
No, what you're describing is exactly the same as us. So my wife's family are from the Isle of Wight, which is where my dad lives, and my mum and everyone.
That's where they record all those cool concerts, right?
Yeah, Isle of Wight Festival. Yeah, so I'm up in Derby, which is like 200 miles away, and an hour boat away from them. And we've got my brother lives here with his wife, but apart from that, we've got no family, no childcare, so it is difficult.
How's it going? This is Nikki P, and I wanted to thank you for stopping by our neck of the woods. I sure hope you enjoy listening to Peace Freqs as much as we enjoy making it. Now, as much fun as it is right now, I know it can be a lot more fun, and the way to make it more fun is to grow that community. Unfortunately for us, growing anything organically on the internet is a thing of the past, and as much as I'd like to dump Irma's college fund into growing the show, that would make me a bad parent. So if you want to help create a bigger, more badass community, stop by upgradetheshow.com. We have monthly and yearly fiat options and one-time and yearly crypto options. But don't go thinking an upgraded community is all you're going to get. All patrons of the show get access to the Freedom Choir, chock full of bonus shows, and our Zoom link to watch our interviews live. So head over to upgradetheshow.com and help us upgrade this freaky little community. That's actually kind of curious. What are some of the best festivals that you've performed at, or have you just mostly do club gigs over there?
I've done the Isle of Wight Festival a few times. Festival, which is another small festival, which was cool. It was really organic, and then it got really big, and then it kind of faded away because it was better when it was smaller. If that makes any sense. It just had a nicer vibe about it.
They tend to be.
Yeah, I did the Court Festival in Norway. That was crazy. That was really good fun. And then I did a couple of festivals in France down in the Alps, which again were great because it was just red wine, saucisson and cheese. And then I might play some songs if I can be bothered.
Wow.
It was that sort of just really...
Nice.
It's much kind of gig.
Yeah, much more much more chilled. Should I go out? We were supposed to be up 10 minutes ago. Oh, better go and start then. And that's much more me really now. I think just chilled. There's lots of festivals in Derbyshire, and I'm saying all these things like they're true. I mean, now as in like I don't know if they're ever going to be true again. It's crazy. Like in terms of social gatherings and stuff. But,
well, I know over here, like some of the venues that like I've played in the past, like 2020, they just canceled their entire calendar, so there will be no music at a lot of these places this year.
Yeah.
And which is incredibly frustrating to me, who's since day one kind of said, just pay attention to the numbers, folks. Pay attention to the numbers. And apparently you can't say that because the people think that 100,000 deaths in a couple months is a big deal. I guess to me, if you understand scale, that really isn't. Many people would normally die in that time period, but whatever, we're not going to go there.
Yeah, people get all about they're all about the emotion though. It's the same here with the death numbers. You go like, okay, so this COVID thing's been going along for nearly 6 months, and there's I think 30,000 dead in Britain.
How many people would have died that day, same time period?
Well, 1,600 people die a day in England.
Yeah.
Normally. So, it's like, it's hard because again, you sound dead cold but people die. It's like literally, it's the only thing that all three of us have got in common that's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, everyone focuses on emotion. So you say something like, well, it's basically, that's kind of the same with the flu in terms of, you don't.
Right.
All right, mate. All right.
Well, for me, the final tell was, so apparently the average age of someone who's died from COVID is older than the average life expectancy of an American. So I'm like, I'm sorry, people. Like, I really don't care about 90 and 80-year-old people. If you're related to one and they die, that sucks. But you can't grind our entire fucking economy to a halt. Like, you've stolen people's livelihoods. Like, as a musician, I don't know when I'll ever be able to make money doing that ever again. Like, and at this point, I don't know why I ever had to stop. Why did we end that entire sector of our economy?
Yeah.
Why are half of my friends struggling to survive? Because, when you're an independent contractor, let's just say getting unemployment's not exactly the easiest thing in the world if that's something you're after. It's like all of my friends that don't work, have like a day job. Like, I have friends that they went online and they're just doing their lessons online and stuff like that. But if you were just a performer, it's really fucking hard to make ends meet.
Yeah. My mate Ian's that's his livelihood. He was in a band called the Icicle Works in the 80s, and they were had top 10 hits in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And he put on his social media yesterday that he's basically been told, I'm guessing by venues and management, basically, that he's done for the year.
Yeah.
Like there's no.
Well, there's a lot of places over here that have said that.
Yeah. And you think, well, that's how he feeds himself, feeds his family.
Well, so I started dabbling and learning how to do some computer programming. So it's like, well, I want a more hard skill, something that can't be taken away as easily in the future, because I don't know if that shit's ever coming back.
No. Well, they
if it does, maybe, but
they said, didn't they, in America that was it 40% of the jobs that have gone won't come back.
Yeah.
Which is just staggering.
Well, there's a certain degree honestly, I think there's a certain degree over here, definitely, where it forced something that was going to happen anyways. We were definitely going to migrate towards a more work from home model in a lot of sectors. There's no reason to pay for giant office buildings when everyone can just work from home. But being forced to do that when everyone's not ready to do that, that's a huge technological jump that I don't think we were necessarily ready for.
No.
And we're kind of forced into it in a matter of months as opposed to over the next couple of years.
Yeah, and also interacting with human beings is what we're meant to do. We're social beings. It is funny, actually. I did about a week into lockdown. I got asked because BBC Radio Derby here were literally scraping the barrel for content, and they contacted me and asked that, as a personal trainer, could I come on and give some advice to the people for what they could do in the houses.
Oh yeah.
So obviously I've got all these workouts and I put them on my Instagram and I can do all this stuff and whatever. And I just thought, you know what, sod this, in for a penny, in for a pound. So I just told them to go out on their bikes or go out for a run. And there was just this little bit of silence, and I could almost see the interviewers there, because obviously it's done on the phone. The interviewers there going, why has he said that? We're just saying it. But it's I even said, just go for a run. You don't need to go near anyone. But if you see someone across the road and you wave and you nod, how are you? Good. Yeah, I'm fine. Thanks. Interaction, just something, you're getting something as a human being. It's really important.
Yeah.
And like I say, I could really feel him, and probably his producer there with his or her head in their hands, why'd you get this guy on? And so, well, we need to be out, and we need to go to work, and we need to go to the pub, and we need
and that's the thing. I don't think that the work from home thing would be as big of an issue psychologically if you were allowed to go out and
do other stuff.
Go and
well, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, go out after work and hang out with people and see your mates and stuff. But that's not the situation we're in. You can't leave after work. It became I'll say, I don't know how it was for you, but over here people definitely I think it was maybe fairly locked down for about a month, and then after a month, people were any reason I can't to leave the house, fuck this.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I think I find it funny now when I see people that aren't social distancing, or if I can hear, because I'm in terrace, so we've obviously got long, gardens, bang, 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 bang. So you look down, you can probably see 5 or 6 houses down.
Okay, yeah.
And I see they've got family in the garden. I actually, it releases serotonin.
Yeah.
I just feel great. I'm
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah,
not being
you sit in your
shitty.
garden. Yeah, exactly. And I just saw that lad hug his dad, and now I feel good for the rest of the day.
So do you?
And what I'm not meant to feel like that. I'm meant to phone the police and go, yeah, they're around the house again.
Right.
But I'm not. I'm just. I love it.
Do you guys have the names over there? Is the Karen a meme kind of thing, or do you guys have your own names?
Oh yeah, Karen. Yeah, Karen's a thing. I can think of a lot worse names than Karen.
Oh, good God.
Yeah, we've got a couple. We've got a couple of Karens in our village, but they're massively. Because I don't live in Derby, I live about 9 miles out, just a little village,
Nice.
little old mining community. But yeah, there's a couple of Karens, but they are well and truly outnumbered by everyone else, so it's all right.
That's what you hope.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's when that whole thing started happening, and you start to see people call on their neighbors. I'm like, you guys realize, you joked about Trump being a Nazi and stuff, but that's the legit Nazi shit. That's people turning their neighbors in for crimes. That's awful. I can't. That's a world I really don't want my daughter to have to grow up in, unfortunately.
No, I agree. And people don't see the irony either. They don't see what they're doing. It's funny because a couple of valleys from me, there's a place called Wirksworth, and it's beautiful. It's an old market town. If someone asked you to draw a picture of what you think an old English sort of town would be, you'd probably draw Worksworth, And when this whole lockdown thing started, my wife was in the process of applying for a job there. She's a teacher, so she's a key worker. But her contract at this particular school runs out at the end of July. So she was like looking for this job and I was going, almost pressuring her, going, get a job in Worksworth. We'll move to Worksworth. It's amazing. There's a really cool music scene. There's some great craft beer places. It's unbelievable. And in the end, I've obviously got friends there throughout the whole lockdown, friends on Facebook. Worksworth's the worst.
Oh.
People are phoning on their neighbours left, right, and centre, phoning the police, reporting them.
Well, when you say a lot of like breweries, that kind of thing, like I just immediately think, okay, so you've got a highly left population, and those tend to be the ones that are the worst. Unfortunately,
I'd say that it's very bohemian and it's amazing, and I tend to find with that you get a lot of the time like your heart on the sleeve, but your brain in the bin sometimes. And it's like I love having a heart on sleeve, but you also have to engage that sometimes and say, well actually, my heart tells me this, but actually that isn't going to work.
Yeah.
Well, and I asked the question earlier, like, what's it like not being just a card-carrying communist and a musician? Because I mean, most of the people I find in the arts, it's weird because they'll like call themselves the resistance and like, well, what the fuck are you resisting when you believe everything that all of the standard people believe? Like I don't get it.
No, they're not resisting anything. I'll be honest, I find it hard because I don't fit into either camp.
Yeah.
So like,
like I'm an anarchist. I expect that shit.
Well, so for me, I voted to leave the EU.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've got all your, like you were saying, your card carrying lot, in my ear about the fact that, you're an Islamophobe if you're blah, blah, it's only because of foreigners. And it's like, well, I give all my record sales to Palestinian charities. So, okay, well, that doesn't work then. And then I've got the people that are on the right that are generally massively pro-Israel.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of agree with my political stance on leaving the EU, but, oh, no, that's anti-Semitic because you give it to Palestinians. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just sit on my own then. I've got no one.
Yeah. Well, no, it's always frustrating.
I'm fine with that.
Because like I said, I'm definitely more, when it comes to like the Israel stuff, I'm definitely more on the left, and as far as like what those people do, because I definitely feel for the plight of the Palestinian people. Like personally, I'm against any ethno-state, and Israel's an ethno-state, so not really my thing. Not really my cup of tea.
No, not mine. It's just the definition of racism.
But
bizarre. I don't get it. I've never got it.
Yeah.
I mean, my attitude in terms of politics, and there isn't anyone, like I said, so I'm homeless really.
Yeah.
Would be, I guess, like a traditional liberal in the sense that you do you, hun, and I'll do me. And as long as what I do doesn't damage you and what you do doesn't damage me, then we'll all go and have a beer and everything's fine. And I don't, I find with the Democrats in America in particular, they call themselves liberals. They're not liberal. They're not liberal in the slightest.
Not at all.
Oh, yeah. They completely destroyed that term.
Yeah. And it's the same here.
Well, now, like, so we have libertarian over here, but like even libertarians kind of been tainted because there's like libertarian socialists now and things like that. And like the closest to my ideology would be anarcho-capitalist or voluntarist, which is just I've yet to see the government do anything that a market couldn't do better. Basically, everything they try and fix, they just make worse. I think we'd be a whole hell of a lot better if people just didn't have that ring of power, fucking Sauron style up there to buy off. Like a millionaire is a millionaire, but a millionaire with a government is really dangerous because I don't necessarily have to buy anything from the millionaire until he gets the government to force me to do it, and that's kind of like where my politics are on it. But it does make things frustrating because if you don't think we need to be stealing money from people and sending it to everybody in the world, then you're a hateful person. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, you get it a lot with so you're pro-capitalist. It's like, well, I don't think we've ever really had capitalism, if I'm honest.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well, not even close.
No, so it's hard to tell. We've got cartelism. I don't think we've got capitalism. Capitalism lets the banks fail because that's
exactly
how it works.
Right.
And we didn't. So it's like, what is it like? Socialism for the banks.
It's like anytime I hear, well, look at what unfettered capitalism has given us. I'm like, whoa, unfettered capitalism. Like, when did that exist? Did I not look at the news, or did I miss a couple centuries in there of like unfettered capitalism? Because I've just seen a lot of people getting bailed the fuck out for as long as I can remember.
Yeah, exactly. The right people get bailed out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've got chaos here at the minute in the UK with lots of anti-capitalism stuff and then anti-police stuff, obviously, which you guys have got over there as well.
Yeah.
I mean, as of 2 days ago, is it Seattle? I think it is. it's like 6 blocks of Seattle have been taken over by Antifa. They pushed the police out. They've barricaded it off, and they're like have Antifa soldiers essentially with guns running around maintaining their control of those blocks.
It's mental.
Yeah.
And the thing is, all that leads to is the military get brought
Right.
in. And then
Exactly.
everyone goes, oh my God, Trump's got military on the street. It's like, well, yeah, of course he has. It's ridiculous, really. I mean, they're trashing statues here now. They're pulling them down left, right, and center. Now, for me, there's a conversation to be had about that. Do I want a slave trader on a plinth in the center of my town? Not particularly. No, I don't get that. But at the same time, do I think that it should be dragged down and chucked in a harbour, which is what they did in Bristol the other day? Or should the plaque?
Private property solves all this, right?
Well, yeah. Or should you put a plaque on it which explains exactly what they did and puts into context what they did?
Yeah.
Or do you take it down, put it in a museum with something explaining the context, because it's history and it happened.
Right.
And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, all these sort of communist regimes back in history, I'm pretty sure they started by deleting history and dragging stuff down.
Yeah.
And then scroll forward 20 minutes and there's firing squads in the street.
Well,
And I'm quite apprehensive about destruction of history.
Well, the frustrating thing is that, and I can't remember who it was. Somebody I listened to, but their big thing is like, so we're kind of fucked. Like, and this is going to happen. It's inevitable to happen because everyone that was alive that can remember communism as it was is dead. So we're just left with a bunch of kids that have kind of been lied to about what it was, and they're all coming into voting age. And it's like,
yeah,
I feel like we're kind of doomed to have to repeat the mistakes of the past. And like, I just want to sit here and do my best to try and tell people, there's another fucking way we can do this. Like,
yeah. How is Marxism a thing again? How's that a thing? I'm struggling to get my head around that.
Yeah.
Like my mate Som, he said, I went round to a friend's house. Som's an amazing musician. He was a band called My Vitriol back in the day.
I like that name.
Yeah, they were pretty big in America, I think, for a while. They were massive in England. They're brilliant. Anyway, he was saying to me, he was like, I went round to a pal's house. And he said, and I started to get like hang on. And he's like, and then I realized there was like busts of Karl Marx. And he said, I said to him, you are actually a Marxist, aren't you? Like, I've been calling you that for like 10 years, like as a joke because of stuff you came out with. And you actually are. And the guy's like, yeah. And it's like, how have we gone back? I don't understand. Like, we're not learning from anything.
I mean, Corbyn. How is Jeremy Corbyn a thing? Like, how did that happen?
Do you know what's strange with Corbyn is I've never seen someone come in.
And by the way, he's like the worst of the left because he's like anti-Semitic on top of being like a Marxist.
But he came in and got like all this support. And it was like, okay, this guy could actually try and do something. And then he just completely capitulated to anyone and everyone because he was like trying to please everyone. And it was quite sad to watch, actually, from an outside point of view. I was just watching it and going, like, he's got the spine of a whitebait and they're going to eat him alive. And they ate him alive.
Like your libertarian podcast host, leather-clad on a motorcycle running from Nazis in black and white? I'm sure my friend Eric in no way resembles that at all. But his Rebel with a Cause podcast is guaranteed to bring you that same rebellious spirit, bringing in guests from all over the political wheel, bringing with it his own personal blend of irreverence and, dare I say it, down-home charm. So head on over to the Rebel with a Cause podcast and begin your own rebellion against bad podcasts. I mean, say what you will about Boris. I mean, Boris does what Boris is going to do, I guess. It seems from my perspective. I don't see a whole lot of capitulation out of him other than like what the standard capitulation is that any politician's going to do when they're trying to like curry favors, I guess. Yeah,
I think he'll do. I mean, he's at a point now where they're hurry opening stuff in the UK because the thing about Boris, and I honestly think that because he got COVID and then kind of disappeared for ages and was out the way, and so he had nothing to do with any of this really. And now he's back again, and they seem to have a legitimate excuse almost to get him out the way because he is in the club for sure, but he's got a real ego, and he could see what was happening, and he could see that he was being manipulated by the dark suits, and basically it was going to do for him in terms of his obviously legacy and his career. He was done, and so I think they got him out of the way for a bit really. I don't know whether they just stuck him in the basement. And then now he's back. He's very quickly trying to open stuff. I think he can see that he's finished if he doesn't.
Do you see like one system, and you get in like the conspiracy camp? So do you see kind of like one system, or are you a competing systems guy? Like it's not so much that there is like one cabal at the top that's pulling the strings on everything, but there might be more than one group of elite families or something that kind of are all kind of competing for, I think there's one cabal, but I think there's infighting within it. Okay.
Because I think if you get to that level of ego and narcissism, then, it's like anything. It's almost like that. We see a pack of hyenas and they're all hunting together, but then once the meat's there, they're all fighting each other for it.
Yeah.
It's a bit like that, really.
Well, and I'll tell people, like, if you've ever met a very, very wealthy person, like, it doesn't even require them to be evil. The thing is they're going to do what everyone else does. So you and I do. We take care of what's close to us. It just happens to be what's close to them is a bunch of other ultra wealthy people. It's their family. They're going to do the best to take care of their next generation and provide for them the same way they've been provided for. And so it just inevitably human nature is going to lead to that to happen if people are allowed to get to that kind of level of power.
Yeah, I think once you get to that level of power as well, and you will fight, I think, to the death almost to preserve it and preserve the status quo because it's seen you all right.
Well, I think that you would too if like you were in that place. It's just it's just how human beings are. Like it's just, you just look at how people act, and if you look at how people act, you can understand how they're going to deal with situations.
Absolutely.
I think it almost makes people feel better if they can imagine that it's just. That there's some type of evil that can be cleansed from humanity if we could just figure out who it is. And I think that's almost an erroneous way of looking at it. It's like, they're doing very human things. They just happen to have more power than any human being should ever have, kind of situation.
Yeah, and the manipulation side of it. So I see like, I think once they get to a point where a revolution is inevitable, rather than roll over and let the revolution win, they take control of the revolution to push it in a direction that suits them. And I think you see that a lot, with a lot of these protest groups, people like Antifa. Like, why are Antifa being funded by white billionaires? Like, how does that work? Like, the whole Antifa are meant to be against that, surely. And I almost feel like you've got people with incredible amounts of wealth that are looking, thinking, I think rather than be destroyed by this, I'll just control it. And
Well, you saw that article. I think it was in 2008 when there was an article, and I think Forbes that said the pitchforks are coming, and it was just written by 1 million, a multimillionaire saying, "Look, like the French Revolution was a real thing, and we're gonna watch that happen again here in the next couple of years because of how our system is." So it's not like they're unaware of what the fuck's going on.
No, and I think that's why they like to divide us. They want to keep us fighting. If me and you are fighting over, what you've got that I've not got, then we're not looking above the top and going, well, neither of us have got that.
Well, over here in the States, God forbid the Occupy movement and the Tea Party people ever realize that their enemy is the same thing, the Federal Reserve Bank. Like, that would have been really, really bad for them. Right now, like, you've got like the Black Lives Matter people out there, and we have what we call the Boogaloo movement.
Yeah.
And they've spent the past 6 months trying to paint the Boogaloo movement as being a white supremacist movement. And I can tell you right now, I have a lot of friends that would classify themselves as being a member of that. I've never met a single one of them that's racist. Now, granted, their politics might be different than a lot of people's, but they're not racist. And most of them, when everything started popping off race right here, like they were like, let's go defend these people. Like, well, where we've got our guns, they clearly don't. Let's go take these and protect those people. And they were being turned away because BLM has been told how they're a racist organization for the past couple months. And so everyone thinks, oh, they're racist, they're bigots, they're horrible. And most of them that I know are fucking former soldiers that kind of they saw what our military does overseas and were very disenfranchised by that, we'll just say. So it's all really, really weird.
It is.
And it just looks like they're just trying to paint each group against each other so that we can fight each other and never have to worry about whatever's going on up there.
Absolutely. Divide and rule. It's the oldest trick in the book.
Yeah.
The one thing that bugs
Works
me.
really good.
Oh, mate, that's why they keep using it. It's amazing. It's an amazing technique. And what I find crazy about it now is that there's no need for evidence. So if I say to you, okay, you're a Nazi, then in theory, I should have to say why you're a Nazi and provide evidence.
Right.
Well, I don't now. I just say, no, don't listen to him. I was on this podcast with this guy.
I'm
He's
racist.
like a proper racist Nazi. And people go, oh my God. Oh, and I was like, yeah, I know, it was really bad. Yeah. And then that's you done. But I've not provided any evidence of the fact that you're like that at all. You're blatantly not like that. But it's weird.
Well, I get called racist all the time, despite, the obvious.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, this is the thing. Like, I got called Islamophobic, like I said, over Brexit. Mm-hmm. And I said to this guy, like, on Twitter, like, so if everyone could see it, I was like, dude, like, I've worked out, I can't remember what it is now, but it was a good few £1,000s to these Palestinian charities. I was like, I am like the worst Islamophobe ever. Like,
yeah.
And he didn't reply.
Right.
And I poked him again because I thought, no, you can't throw a hand grenade and run off. Like, that's ridiculous. Yeah. And he still never replied. I was like, but that's such a cowardly way. Like, you've called me something nasty. I've proved to you I'm not. And now, instead of going, I'm really sorry, mate, it's a motive. Mm-hmm. And me going, that's fine, mate. He's like, just ran off. It's like, what? Well,
the shit that you'll hear, man. So, like, the thing that I'll get, like, because obviously people will see that I'm married to a black woman. I have a mixed child. Like, racism is probably a really difficult thing to get to stick with me. I literally had somebody say that it's just me exercising my colonialism.
Oh, see,
me being married to her is colonization.
See, that's horrendously racist. Whoever said it, right. That's the irony.
Yeah.
Yes,
to think like that is mental.
Well, and that's the thing. They change the meaning of the language as far as they're concerned, so that they can, that's their proof. I said that word. That word means this now. So I'm right.
Oh, just for the record, I just saw an article today about a woman who has written to the Webster's Dictionary so much that they're actually changing the meaning of the word racism officially in Webster's Dictionary because it needs to be more inclusive of the current understood meaning of it. So they're going to fucking literally get what has always been the meaning of racism, a belief in a superiority of one race over another. They're going to get it to include the prejudice plus power bullshit.
Right, of course.
And like you said, man, it's just rewriting history.
Yeah.
That doesn't go anywhere good.
No, of course it doesn't. It's just typical groupthink. It's nonsense. Like where I work, I come out, there's two guys across the road. We've been in this office for 2 years now, and they're sat in the same doorway. I'm not having it that they're as privileged as every other white person. Like I get collective stuff. Some are privileged, some are not privileged, some are bastards, some are great. That's true of every race, every sexuality. Yeah, just treat
focus
individuals.
on the individual.
Yeah,
exactly.
I've met plenty of bastards of every race. Let's put it that way.
Oh yeah, you will. Because there's psychopaths and empaths and every other character in every demographic. Mm-hmm. It's not like I met these gay guys and they're all amazing. No, they're not. Some of them were dicks because that's how it works.
People are.
That's how people are. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. So I tend to just be on Twitter quite a bit, really. So yeah, just twitter.com/Gareth Icke. It's annoying the you can't edit it. That still annoys me. So if you make a typo and you realize 20 minutes later and it's got a bunch of retweets, oh, you're shit.
Yeah,
I hate that. And then it's a pretty first world problem, to be fair, but it's annoying.
Yeah.
You say first world problem, but like the shit that you say is so important. Like you had a moment, you said something on Twitter, it got taken the wrong way, and like now you can lose your job, lose your career. Like you say first world problem, but like as more places enter the first world, like dude, that's a real problem if someone takes you the wrong way, and like that can end your ability to feed your children.
I that's my definition of psychopath. That cancel culture stuff.
Yeah,
like. If you know someone's a pedophile and you out a pedophile, that's different. But if someone says something on Twitter and they have a different opinion to you, I had it. I work for myself, so it doesn't really matter. But at the time, I was working for Virgin Active, and thankfully, the gaffer at Virgin Active and the head of HR and stuff, they were just amazing. But I'd raised some money for these for a Palestinian charity, and I just tweeted about it, and I tweeted some pictures of these kids that were holding these food parcels and these backpacks that they've got as part of this thing. And some guy went off at me about how I was funding terrorism, obviously, and so I sort of let him have it a bit, and I didn't think anything of it. And then the next thing I knew, he was phoning up Virgin Active. He was trying to get me sacked, and he was all this sort of stuff.
Oh, wow.
And then I had someone from Virgin are a major big company. I had someone from Virgin monitoring my social media for a period of 2 weeks. Right. And the thing is, I didn't even know it at the time. So I wasn't editing myself. I was still saying what I believe is right.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I thought, all right, I'll just put the sort of cat pictures up for 2 weeks until they stop looking. And they obviously determined that there's absolutely nothing wrong with anything that he's saying, blah, blah, blah. But the idea that that's what they wanted to do, they thought, do you know what I mean? I'm just going to stop him being able to feed his family because he's got a different opinion to me. It's over my head.
Well, it's even more, and like, you can understand why Virgin has to do that stuff because, I mean, granted, look at, I don't know if you follow video games at all, but look at like some of the shit that Tencent has kind of forced Blizzard to have to say in the past year, like because of the company's involvement with China. Like they have like a legitimate, like, let's just put it away. They've said some shit that makes people not want to buy their video games anymore, and they have a real PR problem. The problem is that their PR problem is way at the top. Like, it's the actual people running the company and what they've said that makes people not want to buy their games anymore. And so you can understand why brands have to really be aware of what the people within the company are saying. You just wish some of the companies would be smarter about it.
Well, yeah. I mean, the China thing's weird because that did for Richard Gere, didn't it? I thought a few years ago. I thought, whatever happened to Richard Gere? He was really massive, and then all of a sudden he was gone. And it was his Tibet support, wasn't it? And that was because China invests so much in Hollywood. And I kind of searched it just with that sort of, I wonder if it's to do with that. And it totally was.
I hadn't heard anything about that.
Yeah. So there was a lot of the funding because there's all this kind of thing, Jews own Hollywood sort of stuff that goes around all the time. Hollywood financially is owned by China. It's where the investment's coming in.
Yeah.
And basically there was all these different films that basically Richard Gere had been, he's a handsome guy, he's a good actor. And he'd read parts for and whatever. And then, the funding had been pulled unless he was replaced. So he was replaced and that was him done.
That's super interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Yeah. And it makes you think because you don't see him anywhere now.
I mean, it's not crazy at all. Like, it sounds like, it's exactly what you expect. But yeah, that's fucked up.
Yeah. But the world's fucked up.
Well, yeah, there you go.
Really? Yeah.
Well, you know what? Go out, write some songs, and paint a more beautiful picture of what the world can be. I guess is all like guys like us can do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a nice attitude. I like that.
Just show people that there's hope out there. If there's one thing that music's ever been good at, it's helping people find hope.
There you go.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, without hope, we've got nothing. And so we sure as hell need it right now, don't we?
Now, granted, when I write beautiful songs, they're usually about like my daughter being a vampire and stuff like that. So there's that. But
it's still hopeful because she's going to
that's because I'm a freak.
Be a vampire. I don't know.
It's hopeful that she won't kill you, I guess.
Yeah, there you go.
No, the joke about the song is, so I wrote a song about my daughter. And it's about me facing my own mortality and the fact that, like, when I see her and like everything that's like laid out for her life before her, and you're just like, great, that means I'm on the fucking downswing here. So, it's like it's about like the fact that like I can't look at my daughter with all the hope and in the things that I look for being awesome in her life. It kind of means I'm not the most important thing in my own life anymore, and it's a little somber thing that you kind of have that taints like the pure joy that you have when you look at a child.
Yeah, it's a weird scenario. My mate Steve's got a couple of kids, and when Elora was first born, that's exactly what he said to me. He said the realization that you're not the most important thing in the world in your own life anymore is quite something to sort of get your head around.
Yeah,
it is odd.
So
that is the way of things, though. So
absolutely, yeah, and it's amazing. Yeah.
I don't regret it for a minute, but it's just it's a weird thought.
Yeah. I mean, my daughter's a lunatic. She's a complete lunatic. But like today, my wife messaged me just to say that when she woke up this morning, she cried out for me. She would, I want to see my daddy. Where's my daddy? And that was me. I'm like, oh no, I've got something in my eye.
Aww. Yeah.
It's just little things. It's magical though. It's amazing.
It gets way more fun when they the more able to talk that they get, in my experience. Like, now that my kid's reading, it's like finally a real person.
Yeah. See, I'm excited about her being slightly older in that sense, but obviously without wishing time away. But I'm also dreading it because I know she's going to get me in trouble.
Oh God.
Yeah.
God.
She will say stuff, why does that guy look like that? Oh God. Like, there'll be a guy with like a scar on his face or something. I just know she'll go, Daddy, look at his face. And, oh, mate, come on. I just know she'll be like that. But
we
like,
didn't raise her
not
like
being
this.
horrible, but she'll be like that.
Just curious.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, once again, thank you so much for coming on, Gareth. It's been a blast. Hope you had a good time too.
I've had a great time. Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you.
All right, boss. You have yourself a good day.
Yeah, and you. I'll see you again.
All right. Bye. I love the concept of the walking through history show.
Yeah, I know. You watched the show. That was kind of the point.
And, the idea of actually watching, with a host that's a bit more interesting is pretty appealing. So
I thought it was like the blandness of the host. That's why you watched in the first place.
Well, I mean, to a certain extent, yes. But, I like all the different permutations that are possible. And that's a really appealing one. It's like the difference between watching, Anthony Bourdain, rest in peace, and, I don't know, somebody far less entertaining talk about cooking. Like, just the one show is
Bobby Flay.
I mean, I don't want to throw too much shade at Bobby, but it's a different show. What are you gonna do?
He's got that Southwest food and like all of the shrimp food.
Yeah,
I remember him making a paella once, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, I watched his stuff. It was okay, but like, if Good Eats was on, I was watching Good Eats because it's Good Eats. But I went down this took a turn, and now I'm in Food Network.
What's he doing now?
Which one?
Good Eats.
Alton Brown.
Yeah.
Alton Brown is still doing his. They started a kind of a live video feed once a week, he and his wife Elizabeth, and they were cooking in their house, and it's delightful because he's uncensored. Well, he's censored now because people complained because they were watching with their kids, but initially it was delightful because he was uncensored. It was literally just him, like, with the cursing and whatever tangents he'd go off on, basically doing kind of the Good Eats thing, but without all the big production value and without the need to not offend the network.
I mean, the first couple I watched, it was mostly just them looking for ingredients that should have been in their house.
Yeah, they couldn't find stuff in their house, but it's just fun because it's so real. Like I love that because I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna make this awesome thing, and then dang it, I had that ingredient, and what the heck did I do with it? And all the banter is everything in that show, and it's delightful because they're such a real couple. It's fun. If you haven't seen it and you have any of that description sounds at all interesting, please go find it on YouTube and watch it because it's ridiculous.
Well, and I think Alton is at least kind of woke too, which I like. I think he was red-pilled a little bit.
Well, no, he does seem to have at least some awareness of a lot of things, and that does come out in the show a little bit. There's apparently a prepper area in their house that came up, and just little things he says, you get the idea, like, okay, I hear you, dude, I hear you.
There's an amazing video of him that he did at some like DuPont food conference.
Oh, good Lord. Yeah, just talking about, and it was wonderful to watch because you get the feeling like he was not exactly saying the things that they were hoping
they were horrified, and it's clear because guess what? They buried the video. It took me 2 years to find it again.
A food celebrity was going to say at their conference. But all good stuff.
Yeah, no, like decentralization, that was his goal.
Yeah. He was talking decentralization at, one of the big ag companies. Presentation. I was just like, oh my gosh, dude. I knew I liked you. But yeah. So, cool stuff that came out of stuff. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, check us out on all the socials and
Peacefreaks.com.
Yeah.
Spell it whichever way you like. We'll be there.
You'll get there. And
the show notes if you want to help donate to the cause of growing the show. That is upgradetheshow.com.
And please do check out some of the there's an alternative media company listed in this week's show notes. And like we talked about Parler, there's some other options out there social media wise, and we're trying to explore them. And if you know of any, let us know, because you gotta have options.
Jacob sent me some pictures this week of potential Childeville sites.
Oh, I'm so excited about that. I want details because I'm a chick. I don't even know if that's a chick thing. That's just a me thing. But I want details, but I get it. We're in preliminary stages, but it's exciting. And I'm just like, yes, get me there. Like,
I saw a property and a pond. That's what was important.
God help us. Just want to have that stuff in place. So when he's like, get on there, we can start throwing up money and like, okay, make it happen.
Pay off all this debt we have so that we can leave.
Exactly. It's exactly my point. Like, we need to be free birdies so that we can plant our nest. So, yeah.
All right, folks. Well, it's been episode 101 of Peace Freaks.
Thanks for joining us.
Take it easy.
Make it magical.
This podcast is a proud creation of the Mad Audio Lab. For more information, check out madaudiolab.com. Peace Freaks is part of the Liberty Hippie Podcast Network. If you like what we do, be sure to check out Homesteads and Homeschools, Free Markets Green Earth, Cannabis Heals Me, and This Week in Liberpods. We're living proof that libertarian doesn't mean washed up Republican.